Saluting the US flag, wearing a raincoat to observe a moment of silence at a memorial ceremony, abandoning his diplomatic stance with China, taking a hardline approach to the north, and even his wife, falsified education, controversies aroused by the new South Korean president, Yoon Seok-wook, a month after taking office. Caught between the influence of the US, China, and Japan, as well as North Korea and Russia, where will South Korea head to? In terms of internal governance, Yoon Seok-wook emphasized his governing philosophy of emphasizing people's livelihood internally. However, before he could launch specific policy initiatives, Korea's consumer price index rose to 5.4% year-on-year in May, marking the highest CPI index since August 2008. At the same time, the doubts of the prosecutor's rule have not yet been dispelled, and the impact of the general strike of Korea freight drivers came one after another. The new government has encountered the biggest labor conflict since it took office, which has had an increasingly negative impact on several industries. The recovery of Korea's already fraught economy is Yoon Seok-wook's first challenge. He has also promised to do everything possible to ensure stability. But the president, a prosecutor by profession, has to deal with the economic problems, which makes the media not optimistic. Does this left conflict in domestic affairs seem to be hanging by a thread? Externally, it responded decisively to North Korea's multiple missile test launches, firing 8 missiles into eastern waters in the early hours of June 6, and instructing the military to restart maritime carrier battle group drills to demonstrate to Pyongyang. This signaled the end of the previous administration's appeasement policy towards North Korea. Diplomatically, it has actively embraced the US-led framework, breaking the previous administration's effort to maintain a balanced pattern of major power relations and hosting US President Joe Biden's visit to accommodate Washington's strategic ideas. On the economic front, he actively joined the US-led Indo-Pacific Economic Framework, IPEF, and became one of its most founding members. In terms of strategy, President Yoon Seok-wook said that he will personally go to the NATO Allies Summit, Indo-Pacific Partners Summit in Spain. This series of distant diplomatic initiatives have profoundly upset the previous strategic balance in Northeast Asia. The new strategies is refreshing. However, it is still too early to conclude whether these strategies may help Korea conquer such many challenges. After all, everything will be back to daily lives. What impact does President Yoon Seok-wook's new policy have on the new people of Korea? Although Korean people are concerned about national events, the most talked topic is the new president and the First Lady. A scene at the inauguration dinner of the new president became a hot topic of public opinion, as Yoon Seok-wook, who has always been a good drinker, is known for his ability to drink, and even gossips say that the president loved to drink when he was working at the local level. On that night, Yoon Seok-wook, who was in a good mood to the president of the Republic of Korea for the first time, was about to raise his glass of wine to celebrate, but just put down his glass after a sip because of his wife, Kim Jang-hee, just staring at him. This scene, where he obviously looks at his wife's face, has sparked a lot of controversy among the Korean people. The First Lady of Korea's history is known as the most beautiful First Lady, but the wife of Yoon Seok-wook, Kim Jang-hee, is rumored to have plastic surgery, falsified education, and wife control, but also frequently in front of the public to participate in various activities. The writer Hwang Kyo-hee could not stand it anymore, and in another posting he quoted Kim Jang-hee's statement last December that even if her husband became the president, he will be faithful to his wife's role, saying, "I hope Kim Jang-hee keeps his promise with the nation." President Yoon Seok-wook can just ignore the criticism of writer Hwang Kyo-hee. Although he is a disadvantaged elected president, he is labeled as a political amateur by the media. But just on June 2nd, in the Korea local elections and parliamentary by-elections, the ruling National Power Party won a landslide victory, shuffling the local power. He gained a solid ruling base, which is also his ruling strength. The United States is seeking to draw South Korea also allows him to have the opportunity to make friends all around, Where Yoon Seok-wook will take South Korea next is Hwang Kyung-hik's main concern. Let's wait and see.
Follow us and learn to be a smart trader.